Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. There is a particular kind of pain that doesn't arrive like a storm. It arrives like a silence, like a trust collapsing inward. It happens when the people, systems, or institutions meant to protect us become the source of harm, when the guardians become the wound. This kind of injury doesn't just hurt, it disorients. It makes you question your instincts, your judgment, sometimes even your humanity. And if you're feeling that right now, I want to say this clearly before we go any further. You are not weak, you are not naive, and you are not too sensitive. You are responding to something that cuts deeper than ordinary pain. Because this isn't just damage, it's betrayal. When harm comes from a stranger, we can often make sense of it. We can say, that person was cruel, that situation was unsafe, I was unlucky. But when harm comes from those who were supposed to lead, protect, guide, or serve, something more fragile breaks. A basic assumption shatters. The assumption that the structures above us exist to keep us safe. This is called moral injury, and it's not talked about nearly enough. Moral injury occurs when what should be true about the world collides violently with what is. When your deepest values, care, responsibility, protection, are violated by those entrusted with power. And here's the quiet devastation of it, guys. Moral injury doesn't scream. It corrodes. It shows up as exhaustion you can't explain, as anger that feels too big for the moment, as numbness that scares you because you used to feel everything. It shows up as a sentence you never thought you'd say. I don't know what to believe anymore. There's something else that often happens next, and this part is important. When the guardians fail, many of us turn the blame inward. We ask, why didn't I see this sooner? Why did I trust them? Why am I reacting so strongly when others seem fine? Let me gently dismantle that lie. Trust is not stupidity. Hope is not ignorance. Believing in protection is not a flaw. It's a human necessity. We are wired from the very beginning to seek safety in those larger than us. Parents, teachers, leaders, institutions. That instinct doesn't vanish when we grow up. It matures, but it remains. So when that instinct is betrayed, the pain doesn't just belong to the present moment. It echoes backward to every place you learned to rely on something outside yourself. This is why the wound feels ancient. Now there's a dangerous temptation that often appears here. The temptation to harden. To say, fine, I'll trust nothing. I'll feel nothing. I'll care about no one. But hardness is not strength. It's armor forged in panic. And armor worn too long suffocates the very heart it was meant to protect. The goal of this journey, this week, and this path that we're walking together is not to turn you into stone. It's to help you remain soft without being destroyed. But before we can get there, we have to do something uncomfortable and necessary. We have to name the grief. Grief for the leaders who should have led with integrity. Grief for the systems that promised safety and delivered harm. Grief for the version of the world you thought you were living in. This grief doesn't mean you were wrong. It means you were hopeful. And hope, when it's betrayed, doesn't evaporate. It collapses. That collapse can feel like rage, like despair, like disbelief. Sometimes it feels like all three at once. And society often rushes in at this point with empty prescriptions. Don't be negative. Just move on. Focus on the good. But you cannot heal what you are not allowed to acknowledge. Love does not ask you to lie to yourself. There is another truth we must hold carefully without excusing harm. Those who wound from positions of power are often deeply broken themselves. Not misunderstood, not having a bad day. Broken in ways that power amplifies rather than heals. Power without accountability does something terrifying to the human psyche. It dulls empathy. It rewards disconnection. It replaces conscience with justification. This does not absolve anyone of responsibility, but it explains why harm so often comes wrapped in official language, procedures, and authority. Broken people do not stop being broken when they rise. They become more dangerous. And seeing this clearly matters because it helps you stop asking the wrong question. The question is not, why are they like this? The real question is, how do I remain myself in the presence of this? Here is where the thread tightens, guys. You do not survive betrayal by becoming blind. You survive it by becoming clear. Clear about what you will tolerate. Clear about what you will no longer excuse. Clear about where your responsibility ends. Clarity is not cynicism. It is love with eyes open. And clarity allows you to say something revolutionary in a world addicted to denial. This is wrong, and I don't have to become wrong to face it. If you're listening right now and feeling raw, angry, tired, or quietly shattered, I want you to hear this as a grounding truth. Your pain is not a failure of love. It is evidence that love still lives in you. The people who feel nothing are not stronger. They are simply further gone. You are still here, still caring, still seeing, still grieving for what should have been. And that matters, guys. That matters more than you know. This episode is not about solutions. It's about orientation. In the days ahead, we will talk about boundaries, about anger, about staying soft without becoming a target, about what love looks like when innocence is no longer an option. But today is about naming the wound without becoming it. You are allowed to hurt. You are allowed to grieve, and you are allowed to say, this should not have happened. And you are allowed to remain loving anyway, on your terms, in your time, with your eyes open. The thread is still there. Wounded, yes, but not broken. And together, we will learn how to hold it without letting it out or letting it cut us in two. I love you all very, very, very much. Stay strong, and you know what I need you to do. Go out there and pass that on. Okay? Later, Gators. Bye-bye.
Every story, every voice, in this love we all rejoice. Infinite threads, here we go. Welcome, friends.